Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome yourselves back to a late one, but it is the Sam Redgate-Large channel. Welcome back. It's a late night for me. I'm not usually up this late. Oh God, who knows, eh? Who knows? Who actually sits up at this time and watches the Formula One? Well, that's what we're doing tonight. It's the Circuit of the Americas, the US Grand Prix. We haven't done much sort of F1 content for a while, so I thought, why not sit back, chill out, and you know, enjoy the F1 content. Just gonna be 2 seconds. I'm just gonna check that everything's working. Awesome stuff. Right, everything is working okay. Just wanted to make sure, and then we could have some background noise in, so it's not completely silent when things aren't going on. But the first thing, I guess, to address is the news that has just broken, that the founder of Red Bull has sadly passed away at the age of 78. Of course, thoughts and condolences go out to those who know him, families and friends as well. 78, from what I can work out from listening to Christian Horner just a few moments ago, someone who really actively looked to progress and look to move on, not only life but also in sport, and that was something that he seems to have been able to do and portray over, and you can see the success and the dynasty, if you will, that he has created through Red Bull, and you know what they've achieved over the last 10 or so years. It's been an interesting time whilst I've been in F1. He was obviously part of the reason as well that Red Bull have done so well and moved into Formula One, which is obviously a shame. But we had to start off on a slightly dim note, but it looks like it is windy as always at the Circuit of the Americas. That massive flag is absolutely at full mast this evening, and and it's going to be interesting, and it'll make for interesting watching with the wind carrying around. There's been a little bit of a tailwind and a little bit of a headwind in different places. It's been causing them a lot of problems. We'll have to see how that has changed from I was going to say, FP3. I nearly just said F3, which was why it confused me. That being said, Max was the quickest in FP3 following the quali sims. If that's anything to go by, then we'll have to wait and see how people can perform today. Of course, you always expect some form of changes in terms of how the grid will line up and how it will finish. There's always, like Daniel Ricciardo at Suzuka a few weeks ago, there's always the occasional millisecond that can cause a few problems, and you can go out, just unfortunately, at short little different times. And you know, who knows what might happen today. It looks like it's advantage Red Bull. It always is, seemingly advantage Red Bull. But as you can see, I have not predicted that. If you are in the chat, let us know your predictions for today's qualifying. We're about 5-8 minutes away from the beginning of qualifying this evening. Should be a good qualifying. I'm looking forward to this because I haven't watched the American Grand Prix before, so this is completely new to me. I'm not going to try and claim that I am this overwhelming amount of knowledge when it comes to Formula One, but this is the first sort of full season in a while that I have watched pretty much there or thereabouts every single race, if not watched the highlights, and I'm looking forward to my first watch of a good US Grand Prix. And hopefully as well, we can see someone different on pole. But as you can see below me, just down here, these are the grid penalties that have been confirmed so far. Of course, some of these might come in tomorrow as well. There might be a few more added depending on crashes and what parts need to be taken for different teams. But as you can see, these are the ones that are at the bottom. And if I can read it, I can't quite read it from here. But there are 4 penalties at the moment. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez, it does write them out of a pole position for this weekend, which is a bit of a shame. It would have been nice to see both of those really go at it, but it then is advantage Carlos Sainz and advantage George Russell in the battle for second place. Of course, Red Bull do come into this in terms of the constructors needing to, I think it was, if they win, if either of them win, they will pick up the points they need to claim the Constructors' World Championship tomorrow evening. So they will have done the double, and that will be the first time, I do believe, that they will have got a 1-2 of them both, which is quite surprising considering Sebastian Vettel's dynasty and his reign over those years. But like I say, so those are, so Leclerc and Checo are two of the drivers who are with grid penalties. Of course, that big 10-place grid penalty for Charles Leclerc and only a 5-place grid penalty for Checo. I do need to check that one because I did hear murmurings that it could be a back of the grid penalty for Sergio Perez, which, if so, could ultimately change the race entirely. But from what I could see, it's a 5-place grid penalty. What I could see, it looked like a 5-place. We've got to hold out hope that there is still some competitive nature for second place in the constructors. And of course in the championship as well. As you can see as well, Fernando Alonso and Guan Yu Zhou are the two other people with grid penalties at the moment that will come into effect tomorrow. It'll shake up the grid, and as you can see, my score predictions, we're not watching the football anymore. As you can see, here is my qualifying predictions for tonight of who I think the order it's going to go with. It's a little bit random, but of course, as you can see, it's pretty typical of Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes in that top 5. So if you are watching along at home and you are thinking, ooh, I want to get involved, do get involved. I'm just trying to check to see if what it says about Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc has received a 10-place grid penalty in Austin as Ferrari have fitted his F175, the 6th of 3 allocated internal combustion engines. So he's got an extra ICE, and Alonso will be demoted 5 places on the grid at the Circuit of the Americas as Alpine have fitted his car with a 6th ICE as well, along with a two-time champion Sergio Perez, Guan Yu Zhou will both drop 5 grid places as well for taking new ICEs on Friday. So those are the grid penalties so far, even into Mish as well, who said he was going to join, and he has joined. Great to see you, Mish. I'm doing all right, mate. I am doing all right. Let us know your qualifying prediction for tonight. I think, by the looks of things, it'll probably just be me and you for the most part tonight, mate. Hopefully that is okay for you. Hopefully we'll get a few more people joining on in a little bit. But I've just got the crowd sound on in the background as well. Do let me know if it gets a little bit too annoying. I just thought we could have that on in the background. I don't have any copyright-free music, so I just thought put a bit of crowd sound on in the background just to keep it quiet whilst discussions are going on. We are a couple of moments now, maybe 2 minutes away from, I was going to say kick-off again. I've got football terms in my head. Need to snap out of that. Couple of moments away from the start of qualifying. I'm looking forward to this. I always like qualifying, and I actually worked out the other day, interestingly enough, or at least it's interesting to me anyway, I found a web page which basically, in the easiest way possible, you can rank your F1 drivers. So you can say who you like the most and who you like the least most. I'm going to do a video on this in a few months, but without giving anything too much away, I now know which drivers I would prefer to go out at particular moments, because it obviously breaks them down, telling you your number one. It wouldn't take a genius to work out who my number one is. If you can see that, it says DRO3 on it, so it wouldn't take a genius to work out what that one is. But then I can work out who my ideal bottom 5 would be, and then who my ideal top 10 would be. But that's just me being daft, to be honest. That is just me being daft. But I might do a video on that, so do keep your eyes peeled. We're just having a look at the moment, and the world champion, the reigning world champion, the 2 times world champion. I was going to say Fernando Alonso there. It rolls off the tongue, that one, doesn't it? Max Verstappen. First of all, good evening, Unai Emery voice, of course. Good evening. Let us know your race predictions. As you can see, those are mine. So I'm going to go in with Sainz to Verstappen, Hamilton to Leclerc to Perez. So that is my prediction for qualifying. That's going to be my top 5. To be honest, it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game out of those 5 cars, I think, at the moment. Is it 3-0 yet, says Yusuf. I'm surprised you're awake, Yusuf, lad. I'm not going to lie. I am surprised you are awake. It seems a little bit late for you, Yusuf. I put you in bed. Well, I didn't physically put you in bed. Oh, God. I'd have put you to be in bed about 2 hours ago. But there we are. There we are. Who knows? Yusuf, a man full of surprises. Acts like he's 80, even though he's only, 27, 26? I don't know. I can't remember how old Yusuf is. Mish says, have you found Aubameyang yet? It was meant to be on the pitch. Oof, that is a good question. Might be behind the sofa. I'm not sure. He did go missing a little bit earlier on, didn't he? He did go missing just a little bit. But yeah, it was disappointing the way that the football ended there. A little bit disappointing, and it looked really good as well. We have got a few people on the track, so I'm going to start the timer when we get to 17 minutes, just because it doesn't actually tell you when it initially starts and comes up. The 2 cars we do have out on the track is Alexander Albon, and there is also a Haas following him as well, I would imagine, looking to get a lap in nice and early. Just came to say goodnight. Of course you did, Yusuf. Of course you did. I imagine what they'll be doing is trying to get a lap in, get that lap in place. We shouldn't have to worry too much about potential red flags. And the reason I say that is because there is quite a lot of runoff area. It only starts when the FIA go to sleep, like Aubameyang, new contract at Arsenal. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I imagine there shouldn't be too many in terms of red flags, because it's not like the street circuits like Baku? How did I say it like that? Like the street circuits such as Baku. I've done it again! Baku! There we are. Such as Baku, Monaco, Singapore, for example. So there's a bit more runoff area, which does mean that the opportunity to crash in terms of high-speed corners is maybe a little bit more minimal. Although that being said, I said that in France, and you know what Charles Leclerc did in the race. Less said about that one, the better. Top 5 tracks. This one of my faves. Yeah, I mean it looks really nice was the word I was going to say, but it looks like a track and that is quite challenging. It has a lot of things which, when they've designed it, they've taken from other tracks. So they've taken iconic like S shapes as well, and all of these good things they've taken from different places. So Guan Yu Zhou is going to kick us off with the first flying lap of Q1 today, as he goes into turn 1 there. It is absolutely treacherous. I don't know if anyone's played this track on the Formula 1 game, but I struggle with it on there, let alone doing it actually in an F1 car there, as he goes through turn 7 into turn 8. There's a nice little chicane up through turn 8 into turn 9 there, which is really fun to go through, is the best way to describe it. As he comes down into turn 11, he'll take that left-hander, that really sharp left-hander, and up now into the DRS zone, where he can blast out the car and really open up the rear wing and fly down that straight, down the back straight there. Top 5 tracks. I've made room for my Guinness with this running. Nice one, Mish. How did the run go earlier, mate? How did it go? Are you training for anything, or are you just fancy getting yourself out and about this afternoon? Latifi's also on a flyer, in case if anyone is wondering. Guan Yu Zhou into turn 15 now. I really like turn 16. It's a very sort of, well, I say turn 16. It's like turn 16 into turn 18. It's kind of three small turns, isn't it? As Zhou Guanyu comes round into the final corner now. How is he going into that final corner? Yeah, no oversteer there, and that'll put him P2 behind Mick Schumacher, who managed to get himself a lap in a little bit earlier on. Latifi, where's he going to set himself a sight of? Seems to be moving a bit slower there, Latifi. I tell you what. Oh, no, he's gone back into the pits. That's why. Half marathon in February. Nice. Good luck, mate. Good luck. I did a half marathon earlier on this year, so I can sympathise with you. As Kevin Magnussen looks to knock his teammate off the top spot here as he comes through that nice long swooping right-hander. He goes a little bit wide there and manages to keep it on going into that final corner once again. Very aggressive into that final corner. Puts himself P4 for the time being. Everyone but Latifi, like I said. Alonso, Gasly, Bottas and Ocon now out on the track. So we're going to start seeing some fast laps flying in. And, of course, everyone on the soft tyre. The two Red Bulls very close to each other. Oh, nearly getting in each other's ways as well there. Between Verstappen and Perez. Someone definitely got the call there. That was quite surprising. There's been a lot of talk as well because of the temperature of the tyres. That actually the outlaps have been very, very slow. And it's quite hard to do your in and out laps because of the temperature and trying to keep them at the right temperature, trying to keep them in that window. They talk about the all-important window, hooking it up correctly. But let's see. As Max Verstappen takes to his first flying lap. Let's have a look. What's Super Max going to do? Is he going to put in a good time, and is he going to be leading the way once again? You would anticipate he would be. He's going to blow out the water this Mick Schumacher time that is currently standing at the top of the leaderboard. As Perez is on his flyer as well, and so is Charles Leclerc as well. It was rainy in Plymouth, does not surprise me. Verstappen half a second up on Mick Schumacher. I'm sure that time is going to come greater and greater as the lap goes on. Perez not too much quicker than Mick Schumacher in that first instance, which is quite surprising actually. And Charles Leclerc has just gone purple in the first sector. Personal best first sector, of course, but fastest on the track at the moment through that first sector. Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari, of course, as I mentioned earlier on, 10th-place grid penalty for him, so he needs to qualify as high as possible if he wants to be able to challenge his teammate, and of course Max's teammate Sergio Perez, for that second place in the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc would be massively disappointed if Sergio Perez is able to take the second place, having been in a title fight himself this season. Here we go then. Max Verstappen coming round turn 17. He will have just had to ease off just slightly there as he had a Haas in his way. Doesn't look like he's slowed it. Oh, there's so much traffic there for Max Verstappen to get through. Two Alpines just sat just off the racing line. There's so many cars on the track at the moment. That will take him to P1, of course. 2 seconds quicker than the time set by Mick Schumacher. Perez then comes across the line 3/10 slower. Let's see what Charles Leclerc can do. It's a 1:35.864. And there we are. Charles Leclerc goes back to the top of the leaderboard. 0.069 ahead of Max Verstappen as Lando puts his McLaren in 4th place. 1.2 seconds, nearly 1.3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. They deserve traffic for the cost gap nonsense. It's weird, isn't it? It really is weird. George Russell just about to cross the line as well. Got a little bit squirrely and out of shape there as he came through that final corner. But he does put himself P4. Only 0.4 of a second, behind Charles Leclerc, which is a good sign for Mercedes. Let's see what Lewis Hamilton can do. He's gone P3 there, so pushes his teammate down to P5. Yeah, I find it bizarre, the whole cost cap situation with Red Bull, because they were saying it's because we spent extra money on people's whatever. I think it was the budget for people's food is the rumour that I heard. And I was baffled, Mish, because I'm sat there and I'm like, so you overspent there, but no, actually, you've overspent everywhere, which is why you've overspent there. Because that didn't have to be there. That didn't have to be the food budget, did it? You could have quite easily gone, well, actually, no, we've overspent here. Could have quite easily changed. Basically, they own the FIA. Absolutely. The FIA need to be a bit firmer. Needs to be a little bit firmer. Carlos Sainz, the only one of the top runners yet to have put in a good time. Currently 55 seconds off the pace of Kevin Magnussen in 15th, and that's because he's not put a proper flying lap through. Yeah, I thought Max would moan about that. He was just moaning about that Haas, which I said as he was going through turn 17 into turn 18, saying it was on the racing line as it went through. Smooth operator. I'm on pint number 2. Nice, Mish. Nice, Mish. Sit back and chill out. Carlos Sainz, purple first sector, 1.2 seconds ahead of Kevin Magnussen's time, of course. That is the time to beat at the moment, although, that being said, Daniel Ricciardo now on the edge. We've got 8 minutes left of this first qualifying session. Hopefully it will be an entertaining qualifying session as well. And evening to Fraser as well, who's just joined us a little bit late. No worries, Fraser. You just get into the good bit, the juicy bit of Q1. Everyone will go in the pit after Carlos Sainz's lap, who puts it on. Carlos Sainz! That is a lap time. That is, well, I mean, it is a lap time, but that is a very, very good lap time. Carlos Sainz there, almost half a second quicker than Charles Leclerc. That is a statement of intent. That really is a statement of intent from Carlos Sainz. Of course, with track evolution, the track temperatures may change, whatever it may be. Latifi looks like he's on for a good time here. He's only a second behind Carlos Sainz going through Sector 2. Is he going to lose a lot of time here? If he continues at that pace, he'd put himself P7 at the moment, and it could be a trip into Q2 for Nicholas Latifi. Let's see what he does here. Because he was only a second behind. I say only a second, but for someone such as Nicholas Latifi, he's bottled it. He's bottled it in that final sector. Full greens though, but he is 16th. He is 16th there, Latifi. He looked like he could have actually done all right. Who's winning? We're just in qualifying at the moment. We are doing qualifying at the moment. So as it stands, whilst everyone goes back into the pits, it is Carlos Sainz who has the fastest time in Q1. Then we've got Charles Leclerc, half a second behind. Max Verstappen. What are you writing? Are you writing your prediction? Max Verstappen currently in 3rd, Hamilton in 4th, Perez in 5th, and Russell in 6th. I imagine we won't see Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc come back out for a final run, but everyone else I would imagine we will see go for another run in Q1. Of course, if you don't know, we have 3 qualifying sessions. The first session is 18 minutes long. I think the next one's 15, and the final one is 10 or 12. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But each time from Q1 to Q2, 5 drivers go out. So 20th to 16th, they will be eliminated. So the slowest drivers. Oh, Guan Yu Zhou's just had a lap time deleted as well for track limits at turn 12. So the slowest 5 drivers go out until we get to the final 10, which will take place in Q3, and they will then have a shootout pretty much and see who gets themselves pole. Pierre Gasly, absolutely. Even into John as well. Chelsea should have beat Manchester United today. They should have done a little bit better, shouldn't they? They should have done much better. They should have done much better. But to be honest with you, John, I think United were better for the most part. What are we just watching here? Alex Albon. Oh, Lewis Hamilton didn't look like he'd seen Alex Albon in his rear view mirror there, as Albon had to go the long way round the British driver, the 7-time world champion, had to go all the way around. Do you want me to do my best Pierre Gasly? Is that what you want, Mish? Pierre Gasly! He's currently in 10th at the moment on the qualifying. We've got about 4 minutes left, so expect to see some cars coming out. What they will try and do is, for those who don't know, they will try and take their time. They'll get themselves as close to that 0.0 second as they cross the line as possible to get the best out of the track and hopefully get the best track evolution of it. I'm on the Guinness Fraser. Right, so a couple of drivers just coming back out once again. If you haven't already, guys, do be sure to smash that like button for us. I'm going to go for 6 likes on this stream. I don't know how many we're on, to be fair. But I'm just, to be honest, I'm just actually quite happy just to be sat here chilling, sort of thing. Mish has got a Guinness. Can't knock it. Absolutely cannot knock it. And just sit and chill out. If Chelsea didn't concede late to Spurs and Manchester United, Chelsea would be a point behind City and 2 points behind Arsenal. A lot of ifs and buts. A lot of ifs and buts. Right, let's have a look. Who is on the edge of elimination? It is actually Nicholas Latifi, because Guan Yu Zhou had that time eliminated just as he pulled into the pits for track limits at turn 12. So there's quite a bit of traffic at the moment. The Mercedes opting to wait a little while longer before they do come out. That looks a little bit unsafe from one of the Alfa Romeos there. But the Alfa Romeos clearly wanted to get themselves ahead of the Mercedes and give themselves a nice little bit of clean air. Let's see, Yuki Tsunoda looks like he's going to be one of the first people to get himself off on a flyer. You got Pierre Gasly just behind him as well. The projected knockout time is a 1:37.1, which would, I think, go to about Sebastian Vettel's time. I believe Sebastian Vettel is the man sat on a 1:37.1. That believes the time. So anyone lower than that would have to improve if they wish to go through with a 1:37.1. Let's just double check that for us. Let's just double check that. Yeah, it looks like it's all the way down to Vettel in 13th. So they're going to have to improve. Yuki Tsunoda is going to be the first one on a flyer. Just for reference as well, neither Ferrari and neither... oh god, my eye just started twitching. That was weird. Neither Ferrari and neither Red Bull has come out here. So they both think they're through. Even though Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have both come out and Lewis Hamilton separates the two Red Bulls, they feel pretty confident as we watch Yuki Tsunoda see if he can keep his hopes of getting into Q2 alive. He's currently in 16th, 5 1,000ths of a second behind Nicholas Latifi's time. All he's got to do is improve to get himself out of the bottom 5 and hopefully into Q3 for Yuki Tsunoda. Saturday Chelsea are away to Brighton at 3 p.m. Wow. Brighton could be a difficult one. Return of Potter, of course. Let's have a look. We've got Ricciardo and Ocon as well on fast laps as we're on board with Yuki Tsunoda as he takes us through this track. He is currently a 0.1 of a second ahead of Latifi. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good time, especially with Daniel Ricciardo behind him improving. I'm going to sulk if Daniel Ricciardo doesn't get through. I'm telling you that now. Daniel Ricciardo improving his time at the moment as well. Yuki Tsunoda might need to find a little bit more time going into this final 2 corners. Here we go. Going into the final 2 corners. Daniel Ricciardo is slower than Latifi. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to improve. And Yuki Tsunoda, where's he going to put himself? He puts himself 9th. He found a lot of time in those final 2 corners. Yuki Tsunoda might have just found himself enough. Here's Daniel Ricciardo now coming into the final 2 corners. He needs to find himself a lot of time on Nicholas Latifi's time. He was down 0.1 of a second going through sector 2. Is he going to do enough? Can he find enough speed to get himself through? He does just at the moment, but he does have his teammate beneath him. It's going to be close for Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon goes ahead of him. Ocon goes in between him and Lando Norris. So Ocon is now the driver at risk. Lando is on a flying lap. Magnussen goes 13th. Guan Yu Zhou is going to look to try get himself out of the bottom 5 as well. Guan Yu Zhou, of course, had that lap time deleted, which would have been enough. Norris goes 8th. Daniel Ricciardo is now the driver at risk. Esteban Ocon is out of qualifying. Wasn't a quick enough time for Esteban Ocon. Couldn't put himself in front of Daniel Ricciardo. Guan Yu Zhou goes 10th. Daniel Ricciardo is out of qualifying, and now so is Kevin Magnussen as Alex Albon goes through with a 1:36.9. Latifi is the only man who might be able to stop Alexander Albon, his own teammate, from going through into Q2 at this current moment in time. He goes round turn 20, the final corner. How is it looking for Nicholas Latifi? Is he going to be able to do it? No, and he goes 20th. Whew. Whew. What a relief for Alex Albon. What a relief for Alex Albon. It's not been too many times that Latifi's outperformed him, and it wasn't to be today. Ah, oh, God. So, that does conclude what we're watching from Mick Schumacher here. Just a replay of Mick Schumacher. Mick Schumacher. Oh, he took a bit of a spin at turn 1, Mick Schumacher. Bit of a spin at turn 1. Lewis Hamilton's just had a lap time deleted as well. It's not going to be too much. Let's just have a look then. We'll have a look at the confirmation. Why does it say let's do this on the screen? I don't know why it does that when we get to the bottom. But let's... Daniel Ricciardo is out. So, obviously, Mick Schumacher is out as well. Mick Schumacher is out because of that spin that he did have. Daniel Ricciardo's out. Daniel Ricciardo very disappointed by the sounds of things. So it is Latifi, Schumacher, Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen. The drivers who are out of Q1, which does mean we have the drivers still left in: Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Checo, Alonso, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, Guan Yu Zhou, who put in a stellar performance there to knock out Daniel Ricciardo, got himself up to 10th, Sebastian Vettel in 11th, Bottas in 12th, Yuki Tsunoda. God, it's just cut off just as I was reading them all there. Just as I was reading them all. Shia LaBeouf, let's do this. Absolutely. Don't know why I did that. Shumi loves a spin. He does nearly as much as Nikita Mazepin. Nearly as much as Nikita Mazepin. So yeah, Tsunoda in 13th, Lance Stroll in 14th, and Albon in 15th. The last one to go through, who of course nearly was denied by his own teammate. Disappointing though for Daniel Ricciardo. But now I will shift my focus to the two Mercedes and hope that they can do well as well. Shafter, it's a little bit late for you, isn't it, Bailey? Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you are doing well. Disappointing that for Daniel Ricciardo. He'll be very disappointed with that. He loves this track. That being said, I don't know, like Mish, maybe if you watched FP3 earlier, but Jenson Button was watching the, you know, they have the weird camera now where you can see it's like underneath their brake, so you can see when they're braking. And Jenson Button clocked that Daniel Ricciardo, instead of like keeping his foot on it the whole time, lifts his foot off massively. And he said, that's weird. And Jenson Button was like, why would you do that? And they were like, it's intriguing to know because he's been struggling with braking, particularly over the last 2 seasons since he's been at McLaren. It's intriguing to know what Lando does, if Lando does the same thing. You were running then, fair enough. Good to hear you fine, Shafter. I'm all right. Would have been better with a good Chelsea result. And, yeah, would have been a little bit better with a good Chelsea result. But I'm chilling, enjoying the F1 at the moment. And Looking forward to tomorrow's race, actually, with it being an 8 o'clock race. It's a lot nicer than it being a 6 a.m. race that then gets postponed, and you might as well have just woke up at 8 a.m. anyway. That would have been... that was so annoying. That was honestly so annoying. That was really annoying, that was. Kevin Magnussen, Team Radio. Kevin Magnussen just instructing his teammates just to have or his guys in the garage, just to have a look and see if anyone can get their lap times deleted. A little bit cheeky there from K-Mag. A little bit cheeky, but worth a shot. Worth a shot at a track like this where track limits are absolutely everything. Really is worth a shot. Can Sebastian Vettel, the man who is on my screen right now, can he get himself into back-to-back Q3's appearances? That would be interesting. He's into his final 4 races of the season with this now, and into his final 4 races of his career. Good old Sebastian. You know, final season. Can he finish it with a bang? Maybe some big points this season. That would be great to see. I'd love a podium. I'd love a win for old time's sake. But who knows? Who knows, eh? Who knows? Oh, I'm well disappointed for Daniel. I usually... See, I can't sit and sulk because I'm live and I'm talking to you guys. I usually just end up sitting and sulking and just kind of half hoping that Lando does well, but not too well so that Daniel looks awful. But Lando's outperforming that car massively. He's got to be, surely. Like, Daniel Ricciardo, he's a great driver, Daniel Ricciardo. I just don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the problem is. Is it the car? Is it him? Only he will truly know, really. Only he will truly know. If he don't feel 100%, then he don't feel 100%. But then how do you find out if it is the car and if it's not him? That is the question. Charles Leclerc there, looking to, of course, knock Max Verstappen off pole position, even just momentarily in terms of the fact he's got a grid penalty, as you can see below me on your screens. Hopefully, you've deleted Discord, have you, Shrafter? Oh, why have you deleted it, mate? Why have you deleted it? What was I going to say? Yeah, hopefully it'll just disrupt Max Verstappen if Charles Leclerc can put in a good time. But, of course, if he is in second, Max still gets pole anyway. Gotifi just wants Nutella. Of course he does. Of course he does. What more could he want? Valtteri Bottas looking to make a Q3 appearance. He's not... I think it is 9 races without points, I believe, for Valtteri Bottas. We are just underway. Again, they've just not decided to tell us when it was underway, so I'm going to have to wait until it gets to 13 minutes this time. But it's 9 races without a point for Valtteri Bottas, who, of course, started so well. I think it was like a P5, was it, in Bahrain. Alfa Romeo generally have come kind of backwards. Guan Yu Zhou's potentially closed the gap as well to Valtteri Bottas in terms of qualifying and race pace, but it's been a little bit disappointing for Valtteri Bottas so far this season. I think we all expected him to maybe be a little bit higher up than what he is. That being said, he's got more points than Daniel Ricciardo, more points than Sebastian Vettel, and a car potentially that should be doing, particularly for Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo's car should be doing a lot better than what it is, and you can see that it has been doing better in the hands of Lando Norris. So Alex Albon is the lead driver out there on the track in Q2 at the moment. Let's see what he can do. Sorry, it's actually Gasly, but for some reason we're focusing on Alexander Albon, who has been making a bit of a name for himself with his golfing on the virtual golf that is there. Taking after his girlfriend, who is also a professional golfer, in case if you didn't know that one. Very talented family, if they were to get married. The Albon family would be. What a gene pool that'd be, if you want to be a sporty person. Here we go then. Alexander Albon is going to take us round this lap in his Williams. Let's see where he can get himself. Can he get himself into Q3? He would love to be able to do that. He would love to be able to do that, especially as his teammate last time out, Nicholas Latifi, did score some good points for Williams. Got himself a 9th place finish, his first points of the season, and obviously he is now tied on points with Nick De Vries, who only had one race. But here we go, through turn 6 into turn 7, into that left-hander, and then we'll come through to the kind of chicane. A little bit of oversteer there as he came through, and back end steps itself out there. That might just ruin the lap there for Alex Albon. Of course, he is purple in the first sector as he is the first car out on the track as we go in towards the DRS range. Again, a little bit of understeer that time as his car comes out, and here goes opens up the DRS rear wing. Fastest first sector for Alex Albon, Tsunoda or Gasly. Gasly looks like he might have pulled out of his. Fastest second sector as well, Alexander Albon, absolutely flying. Just happens to be he's the only one who's set a time in that thing. I'm not sure I have to look at Discord. He's deleted Discord, Fraser. That's what he just said. Let's see what the benchmark is then for Alexander Albon. What's he going to set the benchmark at? 1:37.1 for Alexander Albon. A little bit slower than the time he will have had to progress. It was a 1:36.9, I believe. As Yuki Tsunoda looks around the final corner as well. How's he looking? Inside track limits there. Gets himself into second. He had a personal best for second and third sector there, but didn't manage to get himself in front of Alexander Albon because of his first sector being too slow. 2/100ths of a second behind. Let's see what Pierre Gasly did then yep, he just locked up going into turn 1. That's a nice easy way to get yourself out of your flying lap there from Pierre Gasly. A really big lockup actually as the two Red Bull went to pull out as well. Pierre Gasly seems to be complaining, listening to that radio as well, that he's maybe not getting the car tyres up to temperature that is in the right zone. George Russell is now going to be going on his flying lap as well. Sebastian Vettel just whacks it second fastest. Oh my god, 7,000ths of a second behind Alex Albon. But of course, George Russell and the faster cars are going to all come through here and smash them out of the park. George Russell goes purple in the first sector as Valtteri Bottas sets a 1:36.748. Guan Yu Zhou then goes second behind his teammate with a 1:36.9. Verstappen just sets a personal best first sector. I say personal best. What I meant to say was the fastest first sector of anyone. It looks like he's had that taken off him though by someone following. George Russell up on Valtteri Bottas by 0.3 of a second here. Looks like he's going to go straight to the top of the table. Fastest first sector set by Charles Leclerc. So the Ferraris, despite Charles Leclerc having a 10-place grid penalty, he's desperate to get himself into first place and qualify first so that he will start 11th rather than first. Because of his 10-place grid penalty, if I can get the words out. Lando Norris, oh my god, 1.3 seconds behind George Russell there. Not a very good lap there from Lando Norris. Verstappen goes quicker than George Russell. 0.4 of a second behind. Lewis Hamilton just chucks his car in third. Charles Leclerc, is he going to be able to go? He is. He goes on top of the pile and he's got his teammate just rounding the final few corners now as well. Will he be able to bridge that gap between them? Carlos Sainz goes into third place. And Checo, where's he going to go? Fifth, fastest final sector of them all, but behind George Russell, 6/10ths of a second behind. So as it stands, with everyone having done a lap, apart from Pierre Gasly, who did lock up and will of course need new tyres, Sebastian Vettel has had his lap time deleted for track limits. Let's have a look. He does lock up a little bit as he goes through into turn 11. Yeah, he's miles off. He is miles away from the line there. I say miles, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But Sebastian Vettel's had his time chalked off as he looked to make it back-to-back Q3 appearances for him here in America. Let's have a look then. So we do have, this is how it is lining up. The bottom 5 at the moment, the people who will be going out of Q2 and won't be featuring in Q1 at the moment as things stands with about 6 minutes left, is Vettel, who hasn't set a time thanks to that track limits, Pierre Gasly, who locked up going into the first corner, Lance Stroll, who is almost 2 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, and Yuki Tsunoda as well, and Alex Albon. Then in 10th place is Lando Norris, 1.8 seconds behind. You've got the 2 Alfa Romeos of Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, Bottas in 8th, Zhou in 9th. Then you've got Alonso, the sole Alpine, as his teammate went out in Q1, in 7th place. Hamilton and Russell are split by Checo Perez, who are all just over 4.5 tenths behind Charles Leclerc. Then you've got 3.5 tenths behind is Carlos Sainz, with Max Verstappen 0.048 behind Charles Leclerc going into the final thing. Should have to get it back. I beg. I don't know how you guys use it so much. Pharrell Williams, a familiar face. He looks very happy. I wonder if he'll clap along if he feels like a room without a roof. Clearly doesn't feel like one today as he's sat there looking in that Ferrari garage, hoping, I'm sure, by Charles Leclerc, top spot might make him feel like a room without a roof. Let's see, though, as we go into the end of Q2 here. We'll be into the final 4 or so minutes. Let's see who fancies coming back out. That is the question. Who fancies coming back out? Because I imagine Leclerc and Verstappen, Sainz maybe are even safe. And then I'd probably say anyone behind there would be likely to, I say likely, would maybe want to go out again just to make sure. Just to make sure, because, you know, if Alonso gets it right, Alonso could go ahead of Russell. That's the question. Lando, of course, is miles off the pace there at 1.8 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. You expect him to be a little bit closer. Ted Kravitz just went, well, Mercedes are in this. Maybe not in for the first row or the second row. Right, so they're in it for 5th and 6th, which is where their car is. Their car is literally the 3rd best car on the grid. And you've just said, well, they're in this for the position that they should be. Like, no, that's not right. That's not right. Lewis Hamilton's going to hook it up, and Lewis Hamilton will finish 3rd. Look, that is my prediction. That is my prediction. The projected knockout time this time is a 1:36.2. If I remember correctly, in the other one it was a 1:37.1. And Albon scraped through with a 1:36.9. So if anything's to say there, then he might need to set an even quicker time than that. Pierre Gasly is going to be the first person to get himself back out on the track, of course. No time set yet for the Frenchman. It will be moving to Alpine. When is the real race? The real race is tomorrow at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m, Fraser. This is just the qualifying to see how the grid starts. But as you can see down here, these will come into effect. So if Perez does finish in 5th, he'll move down to 10th. And if Charles Leclerc finishes 1st, he'll move down to 11th. Alfa Romeo, meanwhile, like this track. They seem to, don't they? Alfa Romeo got 2 drivers at the moment inside the top 10. Bottas in 8th. Guan Yu Zhou in 9th as well at the moment. Let's see which Mercedes that is. Verstappen has gone back out again, so maybe not too comfortable. Which Mercedes is that? I think that's Lewis coming back out. George Russell, sorry, it is coming back out. Lewis yet to come back out. Yeah, Lewis is on his way out as well. So the only people in the pit once again are the 2 Ferraris and Perez's Red Bull. This is qualifying races tomorrow. Absolutely. Absolutely. just on board with Lando Norris as he looks to... He is the man at the moment who could be going out at Q2. We're going to go back on board though with Pierre Gasly. It's going to have to be a one-time thing for Pierre Gasly as he's not got enough time to complete 2 laps, and if he does, he's just about going to have to squeeze another one in, and that first turn looked very wide from Pierre Gasly. Completely missed the apex, in my not-so-professional opinion, as he goes through the S's here. Let's see where he can put himself against Charles Leclerc's time. Of course, slower than Charles Leclerc's time. At the moment, we're really going to have to see. I don't know why it's comparing him to Charles Leclerc. He's not gunning for that. He's gunning for Lando Norris's 10th place at the moment. Vettel is also on a lap himself. But they are green, of course, meaning that they are the fastest, but neither of them have a lap time set at the moment. There we are. Lance Stroll has just come up saying that he is currently going quicker than Lando Norris. So who's that who's just come out? Alex Albon has just put himself in P8. He might have time to do another lap as well, as he has crossed with 30 seconds left. So if he's thought about it well, he might have been able to get himself another lap flying through. I've jinxed Alfa Romeo for sure. You probably have now, miss. You probably have. So at the moment, the bottom 5 is Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, Lance Stroll, Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly. Let's see where Pierre Gasly can get himself as he goes through turn 19, past the pit entrance into turn 20. Yuki Tsunoda puts a 1:36.4. Pierre Gasly goes into 10th just about by 8/1000th of a second ahead of Valtteri Bottas. So all he has to do is minimal, and that is Pierre Gasly out as Sebastian Vettel puts a 1:36.398 to go into 9th. The driver at risk now is Yuki Tsunoda as Lance Stroll goes 7th. A great time from Lance Stroll, a 1:36.0. Lando Norris gets himself back out, but only into 9th, with Bottas, Joe and Tsunoda still on the track with an opportunity to overtake him. Here is Valtteri Bottas. It was a poor first sector, it was a good second sector, but the third sector he just squeezes ahead of Lando Norris. Lando Norris is the driver at risk. Now, Fernando Alonso, he should pretty much be safe here. Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard. It's not the quickest lap from Fernando. He does improve slightly. 1:35.988. Guan Yu Zhou, the man on everyone's lips, knocks out Lando Norris. Both Alfa Romeos into the top 10. And without Alex Albon, who is at the moment doing 2 yellow sectors, and he's going to dip into the pits, does mean that both Alfa Romeos have got themselves into Q3. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell just trying to get themselves across the line there. Lewis Hamilton into 5th. But, right, I didn't expect Lando to go out there. Did not expect Lando to go out there. So, the 5 eliminated there. Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, Alex Albon and Lando Norris. Which does mean both Alphas go through. Lance Stroll goes through. Oh my gosh. Zhou Guan Yu has just had his time deleted. Oh my gosh, Lando Norris is the luckiest man alive. Oh, you have jinxed them, Mish. Oh, Guan Yu Zhou has his lap time deleted, which puts him back down to 14th and lifts Lando Norris into the top 10 shootout. The luckiest man on the grid right now. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, they've been pretty rigid all season, haven't they, with their use of of track limits. But, oh, that's so unfortunate for Guan Yu Zhou. Pierre Gasly did not look comfortable going into turn 1. Lando. Yes, from a McLaren perspective, that is very good. Very good. Turn limits at track limits at turn 12 again, the same place that Sebastian Vettel got caught out. So just to confirm, Alex Albon in 11th, Vettel in 12th. Why does it do that every time I go to Vettel in 12th, Pierre Gasly in 13th, Guan Yu Zhou in 14th with his -5 takes him to 19th tomorrow. Ooh. That ain't good. That ain't good. Track limits at 6 now. They do this season. And Yuki Tsunoda in 15th. So our top 10, as it stands, as we get to crunch time, is Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Checo Perez, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas, and Lando Norris. We've got quite a few different teams in there this week, haven't we? We've got, how many teams have we got in there this week? We've got 3, of course. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 10 teams. Yeah, not bad. 7 out of the 10 teams featuring so far. No Williams, no Haas, and no AlphaTauri. There we are. So set itself up nicely. Let's just have a quick look, if I can, at the Q1 and the other Q times. QQ. I can't see it, can I? I can't see it. I was just going to look because it seems to be trading tit for tat at the top between, that was a lot of T's, between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen at the moment. Carlos Sainz needs to hook himself up a good lap because he can actually take pole position from Max Verstappen. We are going into Q3 now, ladies and gents. We are going into Q3 in a few moments. And this is where it gets good. This is where the excitement comes, ladies and gents. This is where the excitement comes. Who is going to bottle it, and who is going to get themselves on pole? Of course, George Russell did have his first pole of the season earlier on this season at Hungary. Unfortunately, he couldn't convert it into his first win of his career, but he did have his first pole position, which is always a benefit for George Russell. Just a bit of a shame that Max Verstappen managed to do a spin and still win. Well, that sounded nice, didn't it? Did a spin and still win. Classic Max Verstappen. Just going to watch on the Sky Pad. Oh my gosh. Guan Yu Zhou. It's a matter of millimeters he is out. Gosh, that is unbelievably close. Guan Yu Zhou will feel really hard done to. Not long now. Let us know, guys. Let us know who you think are going. It's gone quiet, matey. Sorry. I do apologise. I was just sitting. I was watching the Skypad myself, trying to work out as Lewis Hamilton going into his first lap had a whack of understeer and a whack of oversteer for good measure as he went into turn 1 there. Had a combination of the two. I'll pick my microphone back up once again and sit and chill. I was just speaking to Andreas Seidel, the McLaren team principal. No, Zach Brown to talk about Lando and Daniel. He always says it like that. And Carlos. Very American, isn't he, Zach Brown? Apparently a cracking golf player. Apparently a cracking golfsman. Golfsman? Is that what you call people who play golf? Je ne sais quoi. Right, here we go then. Here we go. We've got, 12 minutes left on the clock. And the drivers are out on the track. So we have 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes of Q3 to enjoy. There was no team mentioned. I can't remember what we were on about now, Mish. I can't remember. It's left my brain. It's left my brain. Charles Leclerc going to get himself out on track, hoping to just disrupt for his teammates. The two Red Bulls, who definitely do look the fastest at the moment. It's very, very close, very tit for tat, as I said earlier on. I quite like that phrase now that I've said it once. Very close between those cars at the moment. Ferrari seem to have the pace over the course of the season, over the one lap. I really do like this track in terms of the uphill nature to the first corner. It's really, you don't get too many tracks where they have an uphill first turn. Cost cap statement from Zach McLaren. I can't remember what Zach said now. He said it was cheating, didn't he? And he said he would cheat in other ways if that was going to be this, if that was going to happen. Interesting, really interesting. Is that Stroll going to come back out, or does he think he's done? Does he think he's done? Right, this is it then, ladies and gents. The final 10 minutes, the crunch time, and definitely the crunch time. And then it is the bedtime, because I am totally shattered. I am totally shattered. Hopefully you are enjoying. If you do be sure to smash that like button and do hit subscribe as well for us as we go into Q3. Let's see who's going to get us underway, and let's see who is going to get themselves onto pole and provisional pole as well. Important as always to get in a first good lap, just in case if that second lap, if there's a red flag, if there's something that gets in the way. George Russell backing out of his first lap though, clearly didn't feel the tyres there as Lando Norris speeds on by. Might have just held up Lando, his friend, and of course other British driver as well, Lando Norris, the British Belgian driver. His mother is from Belgium. Here goes Lando Norris down into turn 11, and he's going to hate that sharp left-hander and into the DRS zone. Max Verstappen is also on a flyer, so let's see what Max Verstappen can do. I think to have anyone other than the two Ferraris, or even a Mercedes, even with a Mercedes, I think you're going to need a minor miracle to see either anyone other than the two Ferraris or the two Red Bulls on that front row today. But we've seen crazier things. We've seen Fernando do it so far this season, so let's see what they can do. Lando Norris, as he enters into the final sector, going around the final few corners through turn 18, that long right-hander, then takes the second to last corner over the camera. I love those over the camera shots. Into the final corner. This is where he needs to get it perfect. Make sure the back end doesn't stick out. Nicely done there from Lando, and that's a 1:36.5 as Max Verstappen just goes purple in the second sector. That definitely won't last on top, and Fernando Alonso proves me right. A 1:36.17 provisional pole at the moment for Fernando Alonso, as Max Verstappen, of course, comes across the line with a 1:35.04. Wow, that is much quicker than we've seen so far today. Over a second ahead of Fernando Alonso. But Charles Leclerc, it looks like he's got this lap hooked up to purple first sector, purple second sector as well for Charles Leclerc. Is he going to be able to knock Max Verstappen? Is he going to be the first driver into the 1:34s? I've just noticed it says plus 29 to George Russell there because they still counted his lap time. Sorry, that really made me giggle. Charles Leclerc comes around the final corner and whacks it on pole. 4 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. A 1:34.6 as Checo puts a 1:35.171. That's going to take some beating. Hamilton is absolutely flying as well. Purple second sector. Of course, green first sector always has to be on your first one. Let's see what he can do. He goes third. as Carlos Sainz goes second. Lewis Hamilton with a 1:34.9. George Russell now onto his flying lap as well. Of course, green sectors for George Russell, as he is 29 seconds off the pace anyway from his first lap. Looks like Lance Stroll will probably just do the one lap, but that's a great time from Lewis Hamilton. Absolutely flying. Purple. Purple in the second sector. Let's see what George Russell can do as he rounds the final corner. George Russell puts it P6. So as we stand, everyone has done a first lap apart from Lance Stroll. And it is the two Ferraris on the front row at the moment. Charles Leclerc with provisional pole. Lewis Hamilton is then in the middle of Sainz and Verstappen in third place. Then Perez in fifth. George Russell in sixth. Fernando Alonso in seventh. Lando Norris in 8th, Valtteri Bottas in 9th, and Lance Stroll, who is still on his outlap, hasn't yet put a time in. Was there just a wheel gun in your throat just then? I know, it sounded like it, didn't it? A proper squeaked. Jesus. Oh, God, my eyes always get so itchy whenever I'm tired. My eyes just get knackered. Now, if I was not streaming this now, I would have probably fallen asleep midway through and then been so annoyed at myself for missing the final 5 minutes. This is where it gets good. We've got just over 5 minutes left. The teams will make a few final changes, swap the tyres, get themselves a fresh set on if they've saved themselves enough sets of tyres to get themselves a fresh set on. Hamilton's final sector is what let him down there. He could have been on for P2 there off that first lap. You doing the race watch along? Not tomorrow. It's quite a long time to do a race watch along. I like to do a race watch along when I've got someone else with me, Mish. Just because then you can talk to other people, and it makes it a bit easier, because there are some dull moments in Formula 1 races. It's not like with football where you can just go back to, oh, here's Thiago Silva. If it gets quiet, you can just go back to commentating. It's, oh yeah, here he goes round the corner again. It doesn't quite work the same. So I like to have someone there with me, just to sort of bounce off, if you know what I mean. Lance Stroll's going to set his lap then. Let's have a look. Verstappen's gone out already, so maybe trying to get themselves 2 laps in there, just in case if you can't do it in the first attempt. Lance Stroll, what are we going to get ourselves in on? 7th. That is a good lap from Lance Stroll there. A 1:35.598. So he is in 7th, which he will be very pleased with, because that puts him ahead of the Alpine, ahead of the McLaren, and ahead of Valtteri Bottas as well, and not too far behind George Russell as well. 3/10 is definitely something you could make up in just a couple of corners. So Lance Stroll will be very pleased with that, as Max Verstappen then becomes the only person properly out on the track. Looks like it's going to be a battle between the two Ferraris. Don't forget, of course, as you can see below me, that there will be some changes. Even if Charles Leclerc does go first, gets pole, he will start in 11th. Perez will get 5 places deducted. If he's in 5th like he is now, he will go to 10th, and Fernando Alonso would drop to 13th. So, as we stand, Charles Leclerc has provisional pole ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton sat in 3rd with a cracking time in that Mercedes. The 2 Red Bulls then follow next, with George Russell just behind. Lance Stroll is the leader outside of the top 6 drivers. And then Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas. So, a couple of places will be gained, like I said. Valtteri Bottas will probably start in P8, most likely. Tomorrow, if Perez can't get himself any higher. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look. Who is going to challenge Charles Leclerc for that number 1 spot? Is Lewis Hamilton going to start on the front row? I believe for the first time this season, it would be if Lewis Hamilton starts on the front row. I do believe I've got that correct. Shows the difference in form. Previous pole sitters, Verstappen, Bottas, Hamilton, Hamilton, Hamilton. Of course. Verstappen, Bottas, Hamilton, Hamilton, Hamilton. Of course, no race in 2020. This is where it gets exciting. Lance Stroll isn't going to come back out again. He's happy with his work. He'll be very pleased as well if he gets that extra position from Checo. Of course, he will get an extra position from Charles Leclerc. He'll be very, very pleased, actually. He'd be starting, what? He'd be starting P5. Lance Stroll. Fair play. Fair play, Lance. Fair play. Final minute, then. Final minute. Let me just turn my phone on silent, just in case if I am a little bit behind, which I most likely am. Don't want to have it spoilt for me. Having waited up all this time, that would have been a little bit disappointing. Looks like a couple of drivers just racing there as well. Who are we on board with here? I think that's Charles Leclerc. It was George Russell and Carlos Sainz there just battling for position, looking like they were going racing. Right, let's have a look. This could be really, really important for Carlos Sainz in particular, but we're on board here with Charles Leclerc as he leads us round. Hamilton is going to be the last one to cross the line. Hopefully he crosses the line in time. He's got 19 seconds to get across the line. The 7-time world champion. We are watching Charles Leclerc. Let's see how he does in this first sector. Is he going to be beating that fantastic time as Checo goes fastest in the first sector? Sergio Perez says, hang on a minute, I'm not out of this, but Charles Leclerc drops 0.2 of a second off his own personal best, and so does Sainz. Sainz drops nearly 0.2 of a second as well. What can Max Verstappen do in that first sector? Can he nick a purple first sector? Just about. He just about clears Charles Leclerc's first time. This is looking very competitive between the four cars that we would expect to be firing at the top of this qualification. Charles Leclerc, is he going to still be ahead of his original time? He is. Not quite a purple sector 2, but still 0.2 down on his initial first run. So he looks like he's going to be able to better it as long as he keeps everything in place. But Carlos Sainz is on a quick lap as well. Lando Norris just goes 8th place. So Lando up to 8th. Perez goes 2nd. Sergio Perez so close to taking pole off Charles Leclerc. Here is Charles Leclerc. Is he going to be able to better it again? Just about. Yes, 0.2. Just bettered. Carlos Sainz. Is he going to be able to take pole? He has! Provisional pole for Carlos Sainz. Only Max Verstappen can stop it now. There's no Verstappen him. Is he going to be able to do it? Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen goes 3rd. Carlos Sainz is on pole. Only Lewis Hamilton can stop him. It depends on what kind of lap Lewis Hamilton's on, but he's not. He's crossed the line, and Carlos Sainz is on pole. And that is it. That is it. He's a smooth operator. Wow, what a lap from Carlos Sainz. What a lap. The pressure was on, and he stayed in the kitchen. He had stayed in the kitchen there, Carlos Sainz. What a lap. And of course, wow, what a lap that is. That is a fantastic lap. Carlos Sainz on pole, ahead of Max Verstappen, who qualifies 3rd, but because of Charles Leclerc's grid penalty, will be on the front row. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell will be on the 2nd row. Lance Stroll will be with Sergio Perez on the 4th row. And of course, Fernando Alonso will start further down the grid in 14th with his -5 as well. But what a lap that is from Carlos Sainz. What a lap that is. So close. 0.065 in it between him and Charles Leclerc. Verstappen and Perez just didn't seem to have the answer. That Ferrari is so quick over one lap. So quick over one lap. Carlos Sainz will be pleased with that. Very, very pleased with that. A pole position for the Spaniard, ahead of his teammate, rightfully ahead of his teammate as well. Not like he's been given it because of that grid penalty. Charles Leclerc will start 12th. Maybe in terms of Ferrari, they will have been hoping that maybe he didn't start ahead, you know. Maybe he would have preferred that so that it was 11th instead of 12th. But at the end of the day, it's not going to make too much difference. It's not going to make too much difference for Charles Leclerc. Max lost 3 tenths in his final sector, and he was a 10th off pole. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Those are the fine margins we see week in, week out in the Formula 1 paddock. But there we are. So I got my... Ironically, I'm just going to throw this one out there. Just going to chuck it out there. Just swish it in. I predicted Sainz pole. I got it. Sainz pole, lovely stuff. Verstappen technically is starting second and Lewis Hamilton is starting third. So, is that a dub? I don't know. I don't know if that is a dub. Leclerc and Perez, obviously, were nowhere near. But, there we are. Not a bad prediction. I got the pole sitter correct. Is it going to be a good weekend for me with predictions? Who knows? Who knows? Right, ladies and gents, I am knackered. I'm sure you guys are. Thank you for watching. Sainz, Hamilton, Perez as podium, says Mish. That is what he's going with. Wow, 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 wow. No Max Verstappen on the podium this weekend. Surely there's going to be a reliability issue. Who knows? Let's see. It should be exciting. I'll be watching it tomorrow. I will be watching it tomorrow. I won't be streaming it, but I will be watching it tomorrow. So hopefully it should be good fun. Fingers crossed. For a good result for Daniel Ricciardo. Fingers crossed he gets himself some big points once again. Thank you for watching, guys. I do really appreciate you coming out at this time to watch this with us. So thank you very much. And as always,